Watch who?
Hello.
And welcome to To Watch Who, a Doctor Who podcast. I'm Mark.
I'm Sarah.
And I'm a Doctor Who fan.
And I'm new to watching Who.
Yeah, watching for the very first time.
Very first time.
Sarah, can you hear that siren? Can you hear that siren?
Sure.
I swear there's something in the background. Is that man waving at us? Can you see that?
Oh my god.
Ah! No!
I was waiting for that. I was literally waiting for
Right,
it.
there we go. Well, here we are, everyone, in this lovely quarry. We've just been, what do you call it? It's all exploded.
Rumbled?
We're under the rubble, but we're all right. All the recording equipment's all right. No, you're not. You're not.
You missed my joke. We've been rumbled, but that's fine.
Oh. How are you?
I'm okay. How are you?
Yeah, I'm good. All good. We had not a great story last time to begin with the season. We had
Mask of Mandragora.
Yeah.
Are your feelings still the same? You weren't very impressed at all.
We've had such strong ones. It didn't feel as strong.
Well, hopefully this week we're going back up again.
We'll see.
This is a fairly big story in terms of stuff that happens. I don't know what you think. You haven't said anything. You haven't messaged anything while you've been watching, so I don't.
I nearly did a few times, actually.
Hand of Fear. And you predicted there would be a hand.
That was correct.
Yes, so you're spot on there. Actually, I've still got the video of this one because I got it signed by Elizabeth Sladen. Because it is obviously Sarah Jane's last story. So I think people remember it for that first, I think.
Yeah. So
And
did she
maybe
choose to leave or did they make a choice?
No, she chose to leave.
Okay, it's interesting that it's like, I mean, it's still early on in the season, but we've had 2 in. I wasn't expecting it now. I would have either had it last episode, as in she did 1 and then, or the end of the season.
Yeah, it's funny. It must have been something to do with the contract or however many episodes she had. But yeah, she decided to leave. I mean, she'd been there a long time. Okay, well, let's go through the story then. Let's do what we usually do. Because I don't have any updates actually this week.
I mean, I can tell you now, this took a lot of warming to. First 2 episodes, I found a bit samey. I was like, another story where, and even she says it, like another story where Sarah's taken over.
It's a better story for her,
Yeah,
though.
but it was very like we've had a lot of that in the last few. Sarah gets taken over, the Doctor, like it started like that. Episode 3 is where it completely changed, and then I was like with it.
Oh, I don't know. I've always liked this one.
I think, it's Eldrad.
Yeah.
Remembered. Eldrad female is amazing. Absolutely incredible. Like, that is so prominent and impactful as a character. Completely made it for me. Real, like, presence and power. It completely toned it round for me. As to what had, up to that point, just been a very standard story.
Okay. Well, the opening of this story, it's not the best opening at all.
Oh, I had no idea what was happening, I'll be honest.
Do you know what? I don't know. So we see that, like Crystal May's planet with the with the thing, and then it's people in duvets shouting about stuff. It's not the best opener at all.
I was like, is this good? Is this bad? Where is this? Is this like I had no idea. I can't tell you anything from that other than the next thing we're in a quarry.
Yeah, but then when we get to the quarry bit, that's a great opener for the story. Once you get the spacey bit out of the way, that first 5 minutes, then when we get to the quarry bit, that is brilliant, where they actually land, it's an actual quarry, not an alien planet for once. And you got the sirens going off, and the guys shouting, and that actual explosion, they did that explosion. Apparently it like broke a camera when they filmed it. It's not like stock footage or anything. And that's really nice. You got the Doctor and Sarah as usual. What do you think of Sarah's outfit?
One of my favourite lines is the Andy Pandy.
Yeah, I knew you'd like that. Oh my gosh. I knew it.
I laughed a lot at that. for a long time.
And that outfit is quite a well-known. That could be up if we ever did a Oscars best outfit. I think that might be up for a nomination.
As in, well, you have tried to. You do Icon of the Season outfit, so.
Well, yeah, but if we add this into the Oscars, like we were saying, this could be it, because this one, a lot of people dress up as this at conventions. You see that one a lot replicated out of all of the other ones.
Yeah, so, it's quite a fun one.
Yeah, I thought you would like it.
I did like it. I mean, I love a dungaree, you know me.
I'm not sure about the bandana, but does she have a?
I don't even remember the bandana.
I think she has a bandana. I'm pretty sure she does.
Maybe she does. I don't remember it.
Yeah, but the dungaree is very cool.
In a way, I wish that was the opener.
Well, yeah, it should have been, shouldn't it? It absolutely should have been.
I got nothing from
Duvet people. No.
I just didn't know what was happening.
And I
couldn't work out what was going on.
And I thought the guy that run like the works of the quarry, I thought he looked a bit like Alan Partridge. Do you think? He does. What's his name? Steve Coogan. He does. Whenever I see him in this, I'm always like, is that him? But I don't think it is.
It's dad.
So then it's quite dramatic, isn't it? Because Sarah's underneath the thing and she grabs the hand and you see the thing.
Yeah.
And the doctor seems very like, obviously a whole quarry's fallen on him, so he's like quite subdued, but it's very serious and like this, and you see the ambulance and it's all very suddenly very real life in a way, if you see what I mean.
It felt very serious, and part of me felt like it felt very odd that, and I guess maybe it's this doctor a little bit, I don't know, that they've stumbled into that situation almost instantly, that sense of danger. Like they've literally walked into danger. They've walked into a quarry collapsing. And I don't know, the guy's waving and they're just waving back.
It's funny. Well, I suppose if you're going around landing all over the places, you don't know where you are. They didn't check, obviously, but yeah, you'd think.
No, they didn't.
Luckily, the TARDIS isn't buried. Luckily, it was just off from the TARDIS.
Yeah, but you're right. The sense of danger's there right from the start.
You're straight into it. You're straight in the story. There's not any. The Doctor and Sarah are straight in the story. There's not any exploring to do or anything. They're right there.
No, it was really good that, and I liked just didn't know where Sarah was, and I quite liked it. Did feel that sort of sense of doom, I guess. But
and she's in the hospital. And yeah, at the moment, there's nothing alien or anything like that. But you see that Sarah's got she's holding the ring from the hand, and because she's got because she was holding the stone hand, then you start sort of unfolding what's going on. And there's Dr. Carter, who is the guy that's in the first couple of episodes, who's doing the scans on the hand. A pathologist, I want to say, but he's probably not a pathologist. Whatever.
He's something like that.
That.
It's not really made clear what he is. They said something like, "We treat the ones alive" or something. I can't remember. They said some sort of joke.
If he's working in the hospital, he must do some hospital-y things. He's not like an archaeologist or anything. He's more...
Yeah.
I don't know, maybe does like x-rays and stuff for people. I'm sure everybody listening knows exactly what he does and all about it, and it was very clearly explained in the story, but we haven't got that.
And neither of us picked it up.
No, but he works with the Doctor.
Surprised by the equipment. When the equipment arrives, he's like, "God, have you got this?"
Well, that's a weird thing. Just going ahead, there's no unit in this because actually, normally, unless the Doctor's been on the phone and unit has given him the thing, but there's normally something like this. You would get unit involved, or
do you know what I would have liked if I was doing this story, rather than because also it did make sense that there was no unit there, but unit have allowed them the equipment, and it's arrived pretty quick. I don't know why he didn't use the TARDIS.
Well, it's quite far away, isn't it? I suppose.
And I mean, it was on the site. I'm sure, they're not that far away.
Yeah. Well, I mean, we're probably getting into
Well, we don't know, do we? We don't know how far's unit in the hospital compared to the TARDIS.
Well, there's no mention of unit at all. I'm just assuming that he got it from unit, but
he says, doesn't he? He says something like
he got it far. Yeah, it's like, how did you get this piece of equipment? So Dr. Carter has been in Doctor Who twice before. We've seen him.
Oh, go on.
So he was Dr. Tyler in The Three Doctors. You know the professor guy there? And he was really annoying, and he went round to anti-universe. Omega Head.
Yeah.
You know, that professor guy that was wandering around with them?
Oh yes,
That
yeah.
was him. And he was also in the Monster of Peladon. He was a badger person.
Oh,
Oh no, he
okay.
was Gebek. He was Gebek, so he was the good one. You know, there was Gebek, and there was that like really mad one that blew everyone up
Oh yeah,
out of
yeah,
the
yeah.
badger people. He was the good badger person.
Right. So he's no veteran to
So,
the old
and
universe.
I thought he was really good actually, Doctor Carter. I mean, until he
Yeah,
goes
yeah.
back,
I thought,
obviously until he gets taken over. But actually, even when he is taken over, so sorry, so Sarah gets up, zaps him with the ring and all of that stuff, knocks him out, and off she goes being possessed. And then when the Doctor comes in, I like the way that he says a line, and you don't know that he's been taken over. He's just been knocked out, and he says like, "Did you find anything?" Like really sinister, and then the Doctor's like, "What?" And he's like, "Oh, did you find it?" You can just that slight change in his
yeah, he does
voice
it really well.
it's a real, and then you're like, "Oh, actually, there's something else." It's sort of spreading this whatever's taking over.
Other than feeling it was quite samey, as in, of course, people are getting taken over. I thought it was very good, and I liked the pace. It all felt very quick. Like everything was, we weren't like dilly dallying around the story. Things were moving quickly.
Yeah, and Sarah's straight off to that nuclear reactor, like straight
Yeah, it
away.
just happens to be quite close to the hospital,
Yeah.
as is the unit
But,
thing. And
but
yeah,
but then because it's all on location, it's modern day. I quite like that, and they're actually filming. I think in a real complex. I don't know how they're all allowed to go in there and film that. Well, that must be a nuclear
I
plant.
thought that it was a mine. Actually, I thought that the inside stuff they were running around was more like a quarry inside mine stuff, and then when it looks like that's a studio.
I think that's a real, not a big new power station. I think it is a real power station.
No, I don't. I think it's like an old work like unit. You know, like the plastic people one, and they were
Like
going
an
up
old
things.
factory.
Yeah,
I don't know. It looks very good though.
and then, but when they're inside, I think that's studio.
Oh yeah, the inside, all the studio stuff. But I just mean that location stuff where they're going up and
Yeah,
down
yeah.
the metal
No.
stuff.
I think that's an old warehouse.
I mean, they couldn't do that all in the studio because then it would look rubbish. But when you've got the whole thing, I think it looks really, really good. And she's walking around with his hand in a Tupperware. Like just so random, just like
Casual.
and she's struggling a bit when she's going up and down those things. She's got to put the Tupperware on the side, carefully go down, grab the Tupperware, carefully go up and down these ladders. It's not easy going up and down ladders in the Tupperware,
Especially when you possess.
exactly, and possessed as well. Yeah. And it reminds me as well, I never got round to watching Chernobyl. I still need to watch that.
Oh, do you? I watched the first episode or two. It's hard.
That's it. I don't know. I'm quite fascinated by that. I would like to see it. It just reminds
There's
me.
an episode Sarah recommends. Okay, Sarah recommends two things actually. Can I do my Sarah recommends right now?
Okay, here we go.
Okay. So there's something called Dark Tourists on Netflix where they go to it's this guy who did the tickling documentary.
Oh yeah.
Right. So he did so he goes to places where people it's called dark tourism. And one of the places they go sorry, my mum's just ringing me one sec. Hi, you okay? I'm recording with Mark, so can I okay. Bye. Just my mum casually trying to set up a new phone.
Right.
Okay. Well, my old phone, but what was it? So yeah, dark tourism. But one of the places they go is near a nuclear disaster.
Like where it's all like derelict and just left.
Yeah, and you go through it, and everyone has radiation things to see how the radiation levels go and stuff. Like really good. So that's one. Like that's on Netflix. And then the other thing, because I'm watching it at the minute and I'm hooked, is Only Murders in the Building.
Yeah.
Which is on Disney, and I've just sent Mark a trailer, and I love it. And it's got Martin Short, Selena Gomez, and oh my gosh, what's his name? Steve Martin.
Yeah.
And it's about a apartment complex that they all live in, and they're all into a murder mystery podcast, and then a murder happens in their building, and they try to solve it. Brilliant, absolutely brilliant. It's really good. It's like just really fun, easy watch. It's
Right.
good
Yeah, no, that does sound good. That does sound good.
as an antidote to dark tourism.
Yeah. Well, the only other Chernobyl thing, there's the Chernobyl Diaries, which is a horror film, which is like a Blair Witchy, which I've seen,
Yeah.
which is really where I think, yeah, there's like some tourists and someone's like, hey, if you give me like $100, I can sneak you into the Chernobyl area, and obviously that's a bad idea because they all
Yeah.
start getting murdered and stuff. That's like a horror film.
Yeah. I
Nothing
mean,
like
the
The Hand of
Chernobyl
Fear.
thing, it's just so, you should see it on the dark tourism because it's so strange in that it's just abandoned. And they go through like, and they're just on the outskirts of it. And they've got like these boundary areas, and that's still, there are still people living within this. They don't go to Chernobyl, or do they? No, it's a Japanese one.
I think that is, yeah, that's Chernobyl, isn't
Is
it?
that Chernobyl? I can't
Yeah.
remember.
No, I think it is. Yeah.
And they've got like, there are still people that are just on the boundaries of it living there, that in theory, and they go to this hospital, and it's young babies that have been born in the area who have all of these defects and birth things because they've been drinking this water that's come from, I mean, it's scary and shocking, and they're trying to keep people out. They've got big signs up and they've got big security things, and all the people on this tour, like, to begin with, they're like really up for it, and they've got all these meters, and as they're going through they start getting really scared because the levels are really high, and I mean, you can get cancer, you can get really ill from it, and they're like, I don't want to die.
Yeah.
And like the risks are massive, and they end up turning back because they're just like, no, and they've all agreed to do it, like they've gone because they want to do it, and then when they're in it and they're seeing it and they're like, this is really scary, and what protection is it, or what is there, and it's just, yeah. I mean, yeah, I recommend dark tourism. It's really weird, and if you like that sort of stuff,
Yeah. Well, Sarah's going in there, and I think Eldrad is. The idea is that Eldrad is sort of taking in the radiation, so
yes,
Sarah's okay, and she's going through, and it's like radiation zone, and going through bit by bit.
And every zone they're in, it's just zero. There's no radiation because it's just all been absorbed.
And we're building up to a really great cliffhanger with the hand in the box, and it sort of starts to regenerate and starts to
When the finger
move
comes back, yeah.
in the thing, and it looks so realistic. It's such a great effect. That is going down as like one of the best cliffhangers, I think.
Do you think? I don't think it's one of the best cliffhangers. I think it's really effective. I don't think it's one of the best cliffhangers.
Oh. No,
I think it's effective. I think it's good. Ultimately, it's a hand in a Tupperware box with a finger growing back. I don't think it's the most effective. Like, as in, we've had some pretty epic cliffhangers, Mark.
I think it's because it's quite realistic. I think it just works really well. And I don't think you're not necessarily expecting that to happen. Suddenly,
Oh, you see, I think I was expecting, like, I can't think why else she'd be going in there other than to try and revive the hand.
Well, just talking about cliffhangers, Electro Dave on Instagram got in touch and said that we should add best cliffhanger as a Doskers category.
Our Doskers are going to be getting so long.
So we'll have to think about that one. Maybe. I think that is a good idea. Maybe we should have done that because there are some good.
I prefer that to best outfit.
Oh, okay. We'll have to. We've got a way off before the end, so we'll have to have a think about that. But yeah, that is a good suggestion. So going into part 2 then. So here this is quite good because you've got that set of characters there. It's not too many people in that episode 1, and then episode 2 we've got some more characters. So we've got the people that work at the power plant now, and we've got the guy that's in charge. I didn't write.
Annoying.
Is he? Because okay, so he is played by Glyn Houston, right? And actually, I think he's been in Doctor Who before, but I recognise him because when I went to the Welsh BAFTAs, he got an outstanding Lifetime Achievement Award.
I mean, he's good because his character's supposed to be that sort of obviously he's just trying to run a power plant. He's not expecting aliens to come and know what's going on. But I was just sometimes I get really frustrated by the whole storyline of I don't believe what's happening, and sometimes that's why Unit come in useful because Unit are that sort of explanation of that's why we're here because we exist for this.
I thought he was really good. I thought he acted it quite well.
He did. He acted it really well. But
he acted having like the worst day at this nuclear
he
power
really
plant.
did. He did. Like all of it was really good, and he was one that called home, wasn't he?
Yeah.
I liked all that. I thought he was really good. I think it's credit that I found his character annoying because it wasn't his fault. It wasn't like I found his acting annoying or anything like that. I didn't find any of the acting annoying. I thought it was all really good. Just sometimes I think I get frustrated with it's just another one where we have to explain what's going on, who they are. No one believes, like, well, obviously something's going on. Like, you're in a power plant with no radiation. Obviously something weird is going on. You've got these two people and you've got a girl in there. That's absolutely fine.
Well, I think if I remember correctly, when they gave him the BAFTA, I think Russell T Davies came up and gave him the BAFTA. And he's obviously much older by then. But I think they showed a clip of the Hand of Fear on the big screen in the Millennium Centre
really?
when he came up and got it. Yeah. So he's quite a well-known Welsh actor.
Yeah,
so, yeah.
No, I thought he was like really good in it. That's not me dissing. Just again, 1 and 2, I really struggled.
Right. Oh, I think they're more my favourites. And in that, there's the lady, the sort of that's working there, Miss Jackson, as well. So do you know who she is? She's been in Doctor Who. She was that sort of lady in waiting to Queen Peladon, the woman that stood in the background and didn't do anything.
The one that I can never remember.
Yeah.
I remember this.
But I looked her up. She's called Miss Jackson in this, and I was like,
yeah, she was good.
Sorry, Miss Jackson. Eldrad must live.
Mark Stingle.
And the thing I noticed it on her first, but then I noticed they've all got it. Their ID that they've got is like
they're massive ID.
They're huge. There's like a whole actual photograph just stuck to them. I'm glad you noticed that as well. But hers
I was
like,
watching it with someone, and they went, "Why is her face on a massive picture?" And I went, "Is that ID?" And I went, "Yeah." Why is it so big? I went, "It's the future." I don't know.
Well, it's not. It's the 70s. I don't know. Yeah, their passes are just this actual A5
picture.
Photograph of them, portrait of them. They've all got it.
Do not miss who it is at all.
And then they get Sarah out. He hypnotizes her again.
Do you know what, though? Just it's interesting you said you like these more. And I think this is because this is you coming as the fan. There's like a comfort in the regular normality of, I mean this in a nice way. I don't mean as it might sound, but like the stories, when they're sort of the same, this sort of like, okay, and she's something again, this is what this show is and this is what it is. Whereas for me watching, I'm like, oh my gosh, it's just another one where she's hypnotized. Boring.
Okay, so the Eldrad must live stuff, all of that does get very tedious after a while.
You hate a
chanty. Yeah, that kind of, I don't like that.
Well, Liverpool fan, you hate a chant.
But this hypnotist,
We're just glossing over that. Cool.
When the Doctor hypnotizes her, I don't know. I that's okay because I don't know. There's more sort of character, and because she goes, "Oh no, you better not," and then he does it, and he's trying to find out what's going on.
Has he ever done that before?
I feel like she says it as if he has done it before. I'm trying to remember.
I can't think. Yeah, no, I had the same thing. She said it in sort of like a way as if like this has happened before. I just can't think when.
I'm trying to think. It wasn't like there was that Terror of the Zygons moment where the oxygen was going out and he did something, but I don't know. I have a feeling that there is, but I can't think. Oh, did he do it in Planet of the Spiders when she got taken over there?
But I thought he taught her ways to protect her mind.
Oh, right.
I could be wrong. I don't think he's ever consciously gone into her mind. I thought he taught her ways to protect her mind from the spiders.
Oh, maybe.
So they didn't brainwash her.
I think we were a bit confused if she was brainwashed or not in that one. I mean, she's happened to her so many times. This is precisely it, isn't it? But and then it slows down a little bit the story. You got Driscoll who goes in and out. He gets taken over. He's the next one that works at the power plant. He's in and out, and you're like, who's been taken over? Someone else. But you still don't really know what is happening. It's just this hand and this ring, and then I think that cliffhanger actually to part 2 is quite interesting, because all it is it's the manager guy, just it all sort of blowing up and him collapsing, and as if everything's going up. It's not like the Doctor or Sarah in danger, which is quite unusual, because everyone gets evacuated. His stress levels are going up and up because he's like, what's going to happen? And then, the explosion is going to happen. And because I think Driscoll goes right into the nuclear thing, but then the resolve in episode 3 is there's no explosion, nothing's happened, no radiation. It's all like not going on.
Even the bombs don't work, or nothing works.
And then this is where they get in the army, which I think probably should be UNIT. I mean, normally, if UNIT were there, the Brigadier would be phoning up, right, we're going to do a nuclear strike. This time it's just the manager phoning up the RAF, we're going to do a nuclear strike. There's no difference, really. And all these planes come in. I can't tell if they're model planes or they're actual stock footage. I don't know. It looks, because you see them fire. And there was this is where I was going to say to you, there was an air show here the other weekend, right? And it was it was like red arrows, and it was a whole weekend. And it was really nearby. And so that sort of really loud plane noise was just going the whole weekend. But they were like doing loop-the-loops. You could see them. I was sitting outside, and I looked up, and it was like one of those fighter jets. I mean, okay, it was like, I don't know, 100 miles away, but it was coming straight towards me when I looked up. Like, it was face on coming towards me. And I just got really bad. I thought, oh my God, they're going to crash. It's going to crash on me. It's going to crash on me. So every time I heard this noise, I was like, this plane going to crash on me. Because they were so sort of low and doing all these tricks nearby. I was like, oh my God. And it reminded me of that. Those, when the RAF were going to go over the thing, it was exactly like that. It was like happening right in front of me. But if he hadn't changed direction and just carried on, it would have gone straight onto me.
Yeah.
But I like the bit where they will go outside and he's like, hold your nose. And
all of that, considering a lot happens, and it's a lot of stuff that we've had before, the pace, it moves quite quickly. And then once we meet Eldrad, that is when I was like, I'm on board with this. As in, I was like, oh, this is interesting.
Can this be the form of the creatures who have found me, and who now seek to destroy me? No matter. They shall fail, as the obliteration has failed. Strange form or not, Eldrad lives!
So I'll be honest, I thought to begin with, my initial thought, I didn't realise it was Eldrad. I thought it was, what's her name? Mrs. What was her name that you just mentioned before? Miss
Jackson?
Yeah. So I thought Miss Jackson had been like something had happened. Like, because everyone's getting zapped. I thought Miss Jackson had mutated, and then I realised it wasn't the same actress.
Oh my God, I don't think anyone's made that mistake before.
Only for 10 seconds.
I mean, that would have been...
Who are you?
That could have... we don't know. We see her, she gets evacuated, but, she could have come back in.
Did you see her again later, so it confirmed my theory it wasn't Miss Jackson?
Oh my God, imagine if that was Miss Jackson. Oh my God, what a theory.
But literally, because this woman steps out, and even the woman's confused about her appearance. And I was like, is that Miss Jackson? Like, oh, well, is that woman is what I thought. I didn't know her name, but like, is that woman from earlier? Is she like mutated, like with the hand? Because I thought, has she been zapped? Did I miss something?
That would have been a nice twist, actually, that, Miss Jackson had been taken. But it does turn out that it's, so version 1 of Eldrad is the form based on Sarah, which I like that. Okay, so tell us about Eldrad version 1 then. What are your thoughts?
I'm a big fan. Really big fan. Like, strong, powerful character. Really great presence. Commanding of the space.
Well, there's quite a lot of discussion when it's just standing talking, really. You get all that Eldrad backstory.
And it didn't feel boring at all. It was really engaging.
And then there's that sort of trust issue between them. Sarah really doesn't like Eldrad, and throughout I like how annoyed she is with Eldrad quite a lot. And the Doctor's pretty mean to Eldrad, doesn't really want to help, but sort of has to. None of them really like each other, but then they sort of form a bit of a little group anyway.
Well, they're all kind of forced to, aren't they? That's like, because Eldrad has no option but to go back. The Doctor is forced to take Eldrad back, but only on their terms. And Sarah just goes with the Doctor, but doesn't like Eldrad. Like,
I feel like Sarah gets in a really bad mood from this point onwards.
oh, she really does. Yeah, she's really not happy. It made me laugh when she was like, I preferred the female form.
Yeah. Yeah, and actually that costume, that look of Eldrad
is amazing.
That outfit must have, to stick all of those things on must have taken ages. It's such a cool
outfit. That whole thing is awesome.
And I sent you the picture of Lawrence Chaney from UK Drag Race.
I know!
Because in one of those episodes, I'm sure they did like an out of space theme.
I think you're right.
Because he is a Doctor Who fan, isn't he? And I think he based that, he did that Eldrad look, sort of like that version, but in pink. That's what he got it from. So it's the Eldrad look.
Such a cool look. And that costume is amazing.
Yeah,
I looked up that actress after. Like, do you know what she was in?
What?
Sided with Rosie.
Oh.
I thought you of all people would appreciate that.
She was at a convention that I went to, but I never saw her, I never got a photo with her. I missed her, so I'll have to, next time she does one, I'll have to see her, because she's still around.
Awesome.
Yeah.
And
I think they've done something.
Woman of Who? That is a Woman of Who.
Oh, absolutely. I think Eldrad could be. Well, villain. But yeah, actually, that's interesting. Would you call Eldrad a villain?
But also, do we call Eldrad a woman?
Well, yeah, exactly. It's just a more of a form. Yeah, I don't know.
The form that Eldrad took was based on Sarah and that acceptable form, and then later became a man, a male form, or whatever.
Yeah.
Sort of said.
But is that supposed to be the original Eldrad? Is that?
I don't know. I mean, what's his form? That's a whole other discussion.
Oh, gosh,
but if we're talking about between those two, the woman that played the Eldrad, I thought was way more convincing and way more like distinctive than the male version.
They're different personalities, aren't they? This Eldrad maybe has got, if you're talking about sort of absorbing what's around you, maybe has some of what Sarah's personality.
Eldrad, female Eldrad, reminded me a bit of the Master.
Oh, right, okay. Almost sort of like intelligence equal to the Doctor in a way, to have that conversation.
No, not so much that. I'm just talking about like presence of character and that sort of dominance. Whenever I think of the Master, it was the same. The Master, as soon as the Master was in that scene, from the start with the Master, just incredible actor that just like was there, present in the scene and owned it, and you knew was there. Even if they were in the background, you knew they were there. And it just felt like such a difference between those two Eldrads, because the female form, there was really dominant. There was like a pressure, but a presence. It was a really like powerful thing. Whereas, and I'm only comparing, like, that's not to say the male version was bad. I'm just comparing the two. The male version in comparison to the female felt more like, and I'm here, I'm in my form, and I'm doing my job. And it almost felt like the power, he felt more like the power came from the costume rather than from the presence of the person. Does that make sense?
The look is just amazing. Yeah, it's just, because when she does that sort of monologue about what happened to her and everything.
It's like the stare, and the camera she just looks great on camera. It's an incredible performance. So I would have female Eldrad. I say that like the Sarah version of Eldrad then, as a Woman of Who.
Okay, yeah, no, I would agree. Absolutely
The
brilliant.
whole point of when we say the Woman of Who is because generally of this era, the women aren't as regarded. Let's distinguish what
it
that
was like
is.
a stronger, memorable female character, basically, is what.
Yeah, we always it's the 60s, 70s where the men are always like talked about more and the women went and got the coffee. But when we get those female actresses or actors that just own it, and this Eldrad it absolutely does. In the same way that what's her name? The female baddie.
Marga.
In the same way Marga did.
Definitely in that category of, Marga of a strong female villain in a way, yeah.
But and in the same way that, like, when we talk of other women of Who, we talk about Barbara.
Yeah.
You know, not every companion makes it as a woman of Who. It is what it is. But or our women of Who.
Yeah, yeah, they do their different choices sometimes.
Different choices for other people, but that's okay. You know, we have our podcast.
Or Nuclear Manager tries to shoot this Eldrad and doesn't get any further. She's going to kill him, but the Doctor says, no, I won't take you back. Let's just go. Let's just get out of here and go. So they sort of leave that place completely, and off they walk to the quarry, to the TARDIS. And there's that shot of the three of them walking into the TARDIS. I mean, that car journey between the nuclear power plant and quarry, I'd love to see that Eldrad in a car going around in the 70s.
I love that no one noticed. And Eldrad's approaches in the back of the car. Eldrad's in the back of the car? Eldrad's in the passenger seat. What are you talking about? Can you imagine that dialogue at the car?
There is a whole
Sarah
episode.
and Eldrad, like, arguing over who sat next to the Doctor. That's in the outtakes, surely.
I know, I'd love to see that. And then we're back into the TARDIS with still the console room from last time, so that's staying around now.
Yeah, which is odd. We've just not had that.
That's the TARDIS now.
Is it?
Well, they're back there. They've just decided that's it, yeah.
And we're just using an old room.
They're just using that room now.
It just feels an odd time to have made that change.
Were you surprised to see it again?
Yeah, I was. Because we've had at least, a season? Maybe 2 seasons with this Doctor now in another room. And suddenly we're like, we're going to do this?
I think they just wanted to change. Off they go to Eldred's planet, and there's something. Oh, and this is where Sarah gets even more of a mood in this scene. I love this TARDIS scene because she's like, "Oh right, I'm going." She goes off. She comes back and gets a banana. She's just having a snack halfway through the story. This is how settled in she is now. This is it doesn't matter. There's an alien on board that could do anything or whatever. She's off to get a banana and have a break halfway through. Although, to be fair, she's been crushed in rocks and taken over and gone nuclear. You need a banana. Yeah, you need a banana halfway through this story. Yeah. And there's a bit of an explanation. I'm not sure if you've had this before, where the Doctor says, you're in the TARDIS, weapons don't work in here, which I think is a new thing that they've just sort of made up for this story, possibly. I think we've had people fire stuff and do stuff in the TARDIS.
I don't think we possibly have,
I can't remember. We'll keep an eye out. I think maybe it's just a new... Yeah, I think...
Whenever I think of the Master being in there, I don't think we've ever had anything like that.
Maybe... I'm sure he's pointing a gun at somebody or something, maybe in a TARDIS. Apparently weapons don't work there, so let's keep a tally out in case weapons do work there one day, which I'm sure they will. And then when we get there, that end of part 3 cliffhanger's a bit of a shock. So all of a sudden...
Yeah, now that's a good cliffhanger.
Because
that's much better than a finger growing in a Tupperware box. Just saying.
Well, I know. Well, look, it's a great one because, again, it's not the Doctor and Sarah.
And by this point, you're sort of like, okay, we know what's going on. We are supporting Eldrad.
Well, yeah, because you've had that time, and now, she's sort of part of the crew already, and now you do feel like, oh, okay, you're not expecting that to... You sort of want her to get there and get things sorted out in a way, even though she probably is the baddie villain of their whole planet.
Do you know what, though? It's funny, because at that point, I was really shocked I know we are jumping, but I was really shocked at the twist.
Oh, okay, well, when the thing goes down and then she's gone.
No, as in when they come out and they're like, no, the whole reason was I wanted to take over.
Oh, okay, I just sort of assumed that anyway, yeah, okay.
No, I genuinely was like, I thought that they were trying to stop and trying to, like, do good and save their planet. I was quite surprised at the twist of it being like, yeah, I'm trying to save it because I think I can do it better. And it was like, oh.
So I like how they're trying to get out, after she's been, like, harpooned and poisoned and stuff, how they're trying to lift her across and then it sort of lands on Sarah. So it's like, oh, she's heavier than she looks, and trying to, like, get... And that costume is it looks less flexible. It is actually quite... like sort of corsety.
I'm sure Lawrence Chaney can agree.
Yeah. And I like all that, like Sarah's like, oh, trying to, like, carry her and stuff. And then they're trying to get across this sort of chasm thing, you know.
Yes.
And it looks a little bit cheap. I don't know, everything's sort of jewelry-y, shiny, rocky.
I don't think it was that bad, actually. I thought it could have been worse.
It reminds me of when they're trying to get... There's that bit in Keys of Marinus where they're trying to get across the rope bridge.
Yeah. It reminded me a bit of that, actually.
I don't... It looks a
reminded
bit...
me of like old school 60s style.
It's 60s Keys of Marinus on a journey sort of thing, isn't it? All of that.
I quite liked that, though.
Yeah. But with that added humour of Eldrad and the Doctor and Sarah gets like zapped and the Doctor's like, "Oh, get up! You're all right," sort of thing, as if she's making a thing of it, like for the attention. Yeah, it's funny though. Yeah, it adds to that because actually you need that kind of stuff because actually if it was quite serious and I don't know, it lightens it up and it adds the character to it to have that. Right, if they're all like, "Oh, so serious going across." And Sarah's like, right, we've got to do it and all that kind of stuff. It wouldn't be as fun. It wouldn't be as enjoyable to watch if you didn't have those moments. And then when the concrete thing comes down, you're like, oh, okay, what's going to happen now?
Yeah, I didn't expect the regeneration. I mean, they talked about regeneration. I didn't expect that. That was a surprise when suddenly but as soon as the dialogue starts and they're all chummy, I realised it was the same. I didn't expect it, but I did instantly realise it was the same.
Yeah,
Eldrad.
The same Eldrad. So what are your thoughts on Eldrad number 2?
I was sad to lose first Eldrad.
And did you recognise, so that actor has played, when I say it, I think you'll know, it played Omega.
Oh, really?
It's the same guy, with the big voice. It's quite a similar acting role. And he played Azal, the big demon, as well.
God,
in the demon again. Big acty monster person that's who it is, and you can tell that voice and the shouty. Well, I think they just get him in to be a shouty person because it is very like an Omega part in a way. It is Omega in the world, and there's nobody left in your world and stuff. It is exactly the same as Omega, really. Actually.
Oh yeah.
It's a bit disappointing though because it's wrapped up so quickly. They put the scarf out and trip him up, done.
Once they arrive on that planet, there's not really anything splashy. It is literally just the three of them on an empty planet running around because there's no other people they meet because everyone's been killed. Like, you're now head of a planet of no one and that's your punishment. It was really good. Like, it felt tense and all that, and I didn't feel, but if we're breaking it down like this, I didn't feel it watching it. Obviously, because we're breaking it down for this, it was a bit.
I know. I thought that was a bit. There could have been something a bit more clever just to do that. It could have had the same result, him falling down, like, no, but they could have just done something or been a bit more clever with how they did it, that's all. Because actually, it's a really bad fall as well with the scarf. He purposely, like, you would not fall over with that scarf. Because he sort of, like, jumps over it himself and goes down. So that's a bit, but again, he had that Omega mad moment, when Omega he hasn't got a head and all that kind of stuff. He has that same moment of like, I'm here on my own, and goes off on one. So, but that costume again is
similar to what was the one where he left in space, but it went on forever.
He left in space and went on forever.
So he's stuck in a point in space.
Oh, Sutek.
Yeah.
Yeah, pretty similar as well. There is actually and I've started listening to it. I haven't finished it yet. There's a Big Finish audio.
Of course there is.
Sequel. It's got the Fifth Doctor in it it's called Eldrad Must Die. And it started off so far someone going into a nuclear plant, exactly the same, but he comes out and he goes, Eldrad must die. And then at the moment, there's all like sea life that's like turning crystallized, and there's a whale that's involved somehow in the water. So I'm not sure what's going on there, but everyone's getting taken over saying Eldrad must die this time. So I'll let you know how that.
Blue eyes.
Yeah, so we'll see what happens in that. But it's pretty much he's coming back somehow, and it's played by the same guy that plays Eldrad 2 in it as well. It's all quickly wrapped up. And okay, let's go to what we're all sort of waiting for here. What are you thinking now? Because there's quite a bit of the episode left. Tell me your thoughts. Tell me your thought process going through this. Sarah's leaving.
I'll be honest. As soon as she had her run, I thought she was going to leave because I knew that there was quite a bit of episode left.
You're a good girl, Sarah. Oh, look, it's too late apologising now. Everything's packed. I've got to go.
How did you know?
What?
Well, I've had the call from Gallifrey. So I can't take you with me. You've got to go.
Oh, come on. I can't miss Gallifrey. Look, I was only joking. I didn't mean it.
Once they'd left, I looked at the time and I realised we had like 10 minutes left. And I was like, that's quite a bit because like what we're going back to. And when she was on there having a rant, I thought she's leaving. And I thought, how are they going to do, like, how are they going to leave it? I don't know if I liked how it ended. As in, I thought it was very much their relationship. He moaned, like, you know, she moans about something, he ignores her, and then, like, it's all fine. But equally, I thought she'd be a little bit more upset, or I don't know. Like, it's the first time, really, no. Actually, because Jamie and that lot don't count because they don't remember. So this is really the first time where someone's left, not their choice. Everyone else to this point has left of their own choice.
Yeah.
Whereas
no. Hang on. Apart from Susan, he left her behind. He just went without her, didn't he?
Yeah, but she also had met someone.
Oh,
so
yeah.
She wasn't alone.
Yeah.
Whereas, like, and he did his speech and he had that goodbye. But up to this point, we won't count Jamie and that because they had their minds wiped, so they don't remember. Jamie and Victoria.
Zoe.
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 Was it Zoe?
Yeah.
I thought it was Victoria.
I know Victoria stayed behind after the seaweed.
Right. Yeah, because she wasn't happy. No, it was Zoe. You're right. Sorry.
Yeah, and how do you do that? Because Sarah's been there so long, and we know even when she's gone home, she hasn't actually wanted to go home.
Not really. Like she's talked about it for a while, and like, but I don't know. I think I would have preferred more of it's her choice to go than a strop, and then the doctor being like, "No, you have to go."
But I suppose the emotion, the look on her face when she's like, "Right, I'm going," and she's expecting him to be like, "Oh no, actually no." She doesn't mean it at all.
Yeah.
And then when he's like, "Yeah, actually, you do have to go," that looks like, oh.
Oh yeah, it's really. But equally, then I think like I was totally with it all until she got off, and then she sort of goes up to that dog and she's like, "Oh, that's."
The dog. I love that dog. Who left their dog in the road? Whose dog is that? I want to know.
Love.
Oh, that poor dog. Someone's abandoned a dog. That is the major drama here. That's like, where is that dog now?
Where is that? In the ground, love.
But yeah, I think it was very difficult. It must have been really difficult. How does she leave? But I think it's really well written. I think it sums up their relationship perfectly in a really short scene.
It does.
The doctor is
liked. I don't know. Maybe I wanted her to be a bit more teary about it. As in, I just didn't like how she gets off and then she's almost just like, "Oh, he's not even left me on the right street," and that is their relationship. But I think if it had been more her making that choice, I don't know. It was right, but it just wasn't 100% for me.
And the doctor is upset about it.
But actually, maybe I would have liked to have seen that. Maybe I wanted her dropped off and see him in the TARDIS.
Well, you do see him
we've
just
had
before.
We had that after Susan left, and so we have had when they've gone and we see the doctor.
But I didn't
like that.
I think because he's playing it though. This doctor hasn't had. I mean, okay, Harry left. He wasn't that bothered about Harry, but this is the first time this doctor has had something like this, has something sort of emotional like this, and he's playing it quite alien again. He's not being emotional about it, but you can see it, and he's sort of holding it in and not. I don't know. I quite like. I like the way that they played it. I think, and the way that she's just sort of. He's like, "Okay, bye. Don't forget me," and she's like, "Yeah, okay." Like. As if she's sort of playing it cool, but she's totally devastated and upset, obviously. But she's not going to show that. She's not going to hug him or do anything like that. She just gets her stuff. She's got a little pot plant.
Hey, Teddy.
Yeah.
I just because even the end, she's like skipping off, and it's that frozen scream.
Oh, I know. Oh, that's not. Well, she's. I don't know. It's a nice. I think it's a nice farewell.
It was.
But I don't think.
It just didn't feel fit with what happened, because that's how it felt for me anyway.
I think because she's been in there such a long time and the relationship is so good, I think anything would be a bit of a disappointment because it's never gonna live up to
the balance of how their relationship worked, right? But I either wanted it to end on like a very positive, and it is really positive, or it to end on a sad, and it had sort of both, and it didn't really work as both. I think that's how I feel.
Because I think that this story didn't have that in. They had to sort of fit that in at the end. Anyway, it wasn't, when she was leaving, they had to write that in, and then I don't think it was that great. And then Tom Baker and Elizabeth Sladen sort of wrote some of that bit themselves. They worked it out. I think it was quite rushed actually, so maybe that shows a little bit.
I mean, it's not as bad as Dodo's.
No, exactly. It's not as bad as Dodo's or Ben and Polly. It's not just a quick, oh, I'm off. At least they do sort of give that last bit of the story to that. What do you think of the reason, though? The Doctor's got to go back to Gallifrey.
Yeah, that's interesting. Like I say, it's the first time that we've had it where it's not choice. And that's, as in, it's not the companion's choice. And that's really interesting.
And the Doctor's got to go to Gallifrey.
Yeah. What does that mean? And this is the first time this Doctor's gone to Gallifrey. Or had any involvement really with the Time Lords, isn't it? Really?
Well, when did we last see the Time Lords? There was that guy that warned him about the Master, like 5 seasons ago. But we haven't actually. Oh no, the 3 Doctors would have been the Gallifrey stuff last time, wasn't it?
Yeah. So that wasn't this Doctor.
No. So it's been a while. So that's suddenly okay. Yeah, I think it's a good. I think it's a good story, and it could have been worse for a send-off, I think. I think it's a good story for her. And she gets a lot to do in her last story as well, considering last time in the...
Mask of Mandragora.
She didn't really do very much. At least it didn't happen at the end of that one, because that would have been...
Yeah.
And she ends up on Earth where she belongs. She didn't end up on some alien planet or left somewhere strange.
She's not like Stephen that's sorting out the politics of the planet.
Yeah. Oh my God, I can't believe you remember all this stuff still. Yeah.
I mean, I forgot Zoe, but yeah, it's all fine.
Yeah, that doesn't matter. Forget the names of people, but you remember exactly where Stephen was and what he's doing.
Still.
Yeah.
Still at it.
Oh, okay. Oh, so an okay one for you.
No, I really enjoyed it. Like I said, it was just the first 2, but then the last 2 totally made up for it.
And a surprise, yeah, like you said, a surprise halfway through the season. Well, at the very beginning of the season, she leaves. So
yeah, second story. It's the second story.
Yeah. So what are you hoping for next?
I wonder whether we'll go a story before we meet a new companion. That's what I'm wondering. I wonder whether we'll meet the new companion in the next story, or whether we'll have a story without one. Both are interesting ideas.
We'll have to find out. The next story is called The Deadly Assassin.
Ooh, okay.
And it's 4.
I love a 4.
We've got so many 4s all the time. So
Bliss.
there we go. Sarah Jane has got... Well, you were getting a little bit bored of her anyway, so it's good to have a bit of a change.
Yeah.
See what happens next. Is it going to be a good change or not, though? That's what we need to find out.
I know.
And in the meantime, you can follow us on Twitter and Instagram at 2watchwho, or you can support us at buymeacoffee.com/2watchwho. Yeah, we better get out of this quarry and
thank
go and
you
help
to our supporters.
Oh yeah, thank you to our supporters, and we'll get out of this quarry now. We're off to the nuclear power station for lunch with Miss Jackson and Glyn Houston. We're off to get our photo IDs blown up triple size.
Giant photo IDs, yeah, so we can be on the quarry.
But also, I do love when Sarah hits the dog on the head with a tennis racket, which is quite funny.
Yeah.
And then it walks off. Oh. Okay, we'll see you next week.
Bye.
Bye.
2 Watch Who.